talk about football.
What's happening, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to yet another scintillating edition of the We Like Football podcast. This is our 10th episode. Fittingly, most television series, or at least quite a few television series, I would say, conclude their seasons at the 10th sode. The NFL season has just concluded, so this kind of feels like the conclusion of our first season. Of course, there will be much more We Like Football to come, but I'd be remiss not to thank everyone who has tuned in, who is just tuning in, or who will tune in the future even. That being the case, I want to jump into some shout outs before we get into all the football. Shouts to my mom, who made a slam and dip for the Super Bowl. Thanks, Mom. Shouts to Hayden's mom, Arla, and Easy Pass Ron. Shouts to John and Shane Borisuk, to Tyler Ferencik and Tim Chandler for continuing to pound the table for We Like Football. I'll continue to pound the table for that guy. And again, I'd also be remiss not to mention that my co-host, my best friend, the left guard to my left tackle, the inimitable Hayden Yerashunas, is celebrating his 28th year on planet Earth today. Happy birthday, buddy.
Very much appreciated, man. Yeah, thank you, like Andy said, for everybody kind of tuning in. Thank you for all the birthday wishes that I got today. They were awesome. More specifically, I put out a link on Facebook to get some donations for my birthday. You see those on Facebook all the time. Usually people just kind of scroll past them, but I figured this year, what the hell? So I put in a link for Donate Life, the foundation that supports organ donations and things of that nature. We had talked about Kevin Bond, our buddy Kevin Bond, on his birthday when we did episode 4 of the We Like Football podcast, and how life kind of dealt him a shit hand and he lost his life waiting for a liver transplant in the hospital. I did not anticipate to have so much support with this fundraiser, with these donations. We raised almost $900. There was, I believe, 27 people that contributed. So if that describes you, thank you so much. If you still have a week, so if you did not donate and still want to donate, there is still time to do so. But again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Truly means a lot that we can kind of make a difference and help people and save lives and things of that nature. So thank you again. It is the day after the Super Bowl. It is also my birthday. I'm so happy to be here on the We Like Football podcast talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs from yesterday, buddy. You ready to get into the game?
Me and Hayden and me talking some Bucs and some Chiefs. Hell yeah, I'm here for it. One thing I do want to jump back to the birthday theme. You just turned 28, as I mentioned. Tom Brady, after his age 28 season, was the owner of 3 Super Bowl rings. At the time, who would have thought that was merely the tip of the iceberg? Tom Brady, now age 43, just capped off an unbelievable, unprecedented 7th Super Bowl winning season. It's baffling. It is beyond comprehension. I at this point, I can't say I'm anything other than privileged to watch it. You can't help but appreciate greatness. That's what Tom Brady is. And that was all on display, readily apparent yesterday, as evidenced by his MVP trophy, Super Bowl MVP, Tom Brady. We will jump into our own alternate MVPs a little later. I do think both of us are going to be on the defensive side of the ball for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they were dominating start to finish. They dominated Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs like really no one has before. That was my main takeaway. We'll get into some more specifics. I imagine you likely share my sentiment, though.
Very much so. Yeah, you can't skip over the fact that Tom Brady just won his 7th Super Bowl. We mentioned it last week, but that dude is the greatest professional athlete of all time. And it's hilarious. I've seen the pictures kind of floating all around of Tom Brady at the combine without his shirt on, just this lanky white dude who doesn't look like any sort of athlete. And now he's been doing it forever, and he's better at his position than anybody else has ever been at their positions. It's just mind-blowing. But the biggest kind of takeaway from this game was how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense just absolutely got after Kansas City. That defense had 2 interceptions and 3 sacks. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the entire day. We had anticipated that the absence of Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, the starting tackles on Kansas City's offensive line, would be an issue. Boy, there was free runners at the quarterback all day. They did not give Patrick Mahomes a chance in hell to succeed. So that was sort of my main takeaway as well. Just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely getting after Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh yeah, as you said, Mahomes was running for his life all day long. We knew that would be a mismatch and advantage for Tampa Bay. I don't think anybody realized how severe, how glaring it would be, how much it would be for KC to overcome, and they simply couldn't. That's evidenced in the box score in so many ways. Tampa Bay came up with 3 sacks. They held Kansas City to 0 for 3 in the red zone. They gave up 0 touchdowns to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City hasn't been held to 10 points or less since November of 2017. That predates Patrick Mahomes' starting tenure. So again, and Patrick Mahomes said it himself, that was as good a beating as he's experienced in his career. Certainly humbling for he and KC. We both mentioned him running for his life all day long. I'm sure several have seen this stat. It's been popping up all over social media. Mahomes ran for 497 yards last night. That's not to say he gained 497 yards. That's to say on passing plays, he was scrambling around looking for someone to throw to. He wound up racking up 497 yards with nothing to show for it, of course. Other than bruised ego and probably some achy limbs today.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely some calf soreness that comes along with it. Now, even though he was running for his life and the Kansas City Chiefs came out and laid an absolute egg in at the worst possible time, Patrick Mahomes is still a freakishly good NFL quarterback. His physical gifts, his arm talent is just absurd. He had one of his best impression of Carson Wentz in like 2018 against the Seahawks, throwing the ball parallel to the ground with his body just kind of in the air, making a nice throw. I mean, in the circumstance, it ended up hitting the receiver in the face mask. I thought Patrick Mahomes was able to escape the pocket a few times there in kind of the second quarter. That was sort of, I mean, I guess the best part of their offense was Patrick Mahomes getting out and getting first downs with his legs. But yeah, we talked about last week, maybe Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator in Kansas City, would help Patrick Mahomes in that struggling offensive line out, get the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands quick, hit the perimeter quickly, throw in some trickery, throw in some misdirection and some motions and what have you. With how little the Kansas City Chiefs scored in the game altogether yesterday, they did not have the privilege to do so. They had to drop back, they had to take shots, and they simply just didn't have enough time to do it.
And this now makes in 3 consecutive games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense has run roughshod really over Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes back to back to back. That's really, and not to mention Taylor Heineke, that's really unprecedented, that run they went on. Great. I don't know if the 2021 Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense will be remembered on par with the 2002 one. They don't necessarily have the raw stats in terms of like points allowed, yards allowed, but boy, at the end there, that Tampa Bay defense really got hot and just became too much for any foe. We mentioned their pass rushers, everybody in the front seven eating. I'd be remiss not to mention how good their secondary was. We talked last week, Tyreek Hill had 269 nice yards against the Bucks back in November. Last night, 73, almost a 200-yard discrepancy. You could tell Todd Bowles' defense made a multitude of adjustments and really kind of had their way with this transcendent generational offense all night long. It's I'm still not over it. It's just the general shock of it. I expected this to be a back and forth, high-scoring affair.
Yep. Last week in my poem, I said that this game should be full of offensive haymakers. It was to an extent. On one side, I would say that there was more defensive haymakers than offensive haymakers for the Bucks. But just looking at this box score, right? Sammy Watkins had a catch, Robinson had a catch, Williams had 2, Hartman had 2, Pringle had 1, right? You get up to the Tyreek Hills and the Travis Kelce's with 7 and 10 receptions respectively. But Tyreek Hill was held very, very much in check for the majority of the game, even like sort of heading late into the third quarter, right? Tyreek Hill had, I believe it was like 2 catches or 3 catches kind of going in late. Really, really nice job. Kudos to Todd Bowles for figuring out how the hell to stop that offense, because for most of the time we thought you would just have to run with them, not if Todd Bowles has anything to say about it. I mentioned last week too, Steve Spagnuolo, the Kansas City Chiefs defensive coordinator, throws some exotic blitzes. Boy, howdy. Todd Bowles got after Patrick Mahomes from all angles. There was a point in time where he ran a double corner blitz. That's a Madden play. That it was absolutely ridiculous. So again, kudos to Todd Bowles, kudos to that secondary. And it's going to kind of lead into Kansas City's undisciplined play becoming a factor. So everybody kind of has seen the Antoine Winfield giving Tyreek Hill the deuces kind of as his payback, right? I thought that Kansas City's undisciplined play was a factor. They ended up with 11 penalties for 120 yards against them compared to Tampa Bay's 4 penalties for only 39 yards. Definitely in big spots too, like towards the end of the first half, the Chiefs, I believe, had 3 penalties in a row that led to Tampa Bay's score right before half. What else did you think about Kansas City, their play, and it leading ultimately to the outcome?
Yeah, as you said, specifically Tyrann Mathieu was visibly frustrated at numerous points in this one. I thought the comparison, like how composed Tampa Bay was in comparison to Kansas City, was apparent over and over last night. I think that's a testament to Tom Brady's championship acumen, the mindset he brings, and one that his teammates, I feel, adapted. Especially as the season went along, you watch this team grow into a better and better outfit as the year went along, and it ultimately culminated here. Now, you mentioned Todd Bowles. This was like there was redemption for so many different Tampa Bay Buccaneers players. I thought like a lot of like veteran cast-off guys, a Leonard Fournette, even Brady, of course, Gronk unretiring, Antonio Brown, we all know his saga, and Ndamukong Suh certainly has had his moments. Jason Pierre-Paul has 7.5 fingers. There's so many different guys who have so many unique stories, but none may be bigger than Todd Bowles. So I'm going to pivot a little here and introduce a topic we had wanted to discuss. I mentioned it a little earlier. We're going to introduce our own respective MVPs outside, of course, of the actual winner, Tom Brady. You've been needling me because Todd Bowles isn't actually a player, but boy, hell of a coaching job, and maybe the difference in this one. There's so many different Tampa Bay defenders you could pick. Devin White's a football crush of mine. Levante David, of course, and Ndamukong Suh had a sack and a half. You know, he hasn't been the same impactful pass rusher that he was early in his career, but boy, he came through in a big way during the Super Bowl. But again, with respect to all those guys and credit to all of them for a remarkable outing, it's Todd Bowles' defensive acumen and his adjustments. Again, this Kansas City offense waxed Tampa Bay just a few months ago. And now the complete opposite. Todd Bowles had Patrick Mahomes look like a rookie. Like he looked like Patrick Mahomes has never looked before. I mentioned that, but again, it bears repeating. This was really one of the best defensive performances in Super Bowl history. And I don't think that's hyperbole or exaggeration whatsoever.
I wouldn't say so at all. No, Todd Bowles deserves all the credit. He gets a lot of sort of sideways looks whenever his name's kind of brought up because of his time in New York, and people kind of know like that his name was attached to the Jets who didn't perform very well or what have you. There's a lot of stories where dudes go and become head coaches and are significantly better coordinators, right? That could be what Todd Bowles is. We saw it on display. The dude didn't give up a touchdown to the Kansas City Chiefs in the freaking Super Bowl, man. Like there's not much that's more impressive than that in its own right. We could be kind of flexible with the MVP. We'll throw it in there as most valuable person. We won't have to do most valuable player. I have been giving you some crap about, the P does stand for player, but we'll go with most valuable person for me. And I was going to take Devin White with 12 tackles and 1 interception in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was flying around and making plays like he usually does. I'm going to pivot a little bit and go to Rob Gronkowski. So Rob Gronkowski got his 14th touchdown in the Super Bowl from Tom Brady. In this game, he had 6 receptions, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And I got to admit, there is a little bit of emotion that's coming with this pick. In Maryland, it is not legal to sports bet in a lot of facets, but you can still play daily fantasy. So as I was setting my FanDuel lineups yesterday, I was like, what is really going to happen? What is the thing that I'm most certain about? And I'm like, Rob Gronkowski is going to catch a touchdown, at least one touchdown in the Super Bowl. He did it twice. I appreciate you, Mr. Gronk. I would love to share the $40 that I won with you yesterday and send you out a We Like Football sticker. Hit me up and we can make that happen. But kudos to you, Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk, ultimate bro, nothing but respect over this side. Two big bros here at We Like Football. It can be tempting to linger too long on the Super Bowl. I don't want to do that. I do have one more, question for you. Does this loss take some of the shine off of Patrick Mahomes? Is that he's the wonder kid, the sensation, the new face of the league. Now having lost in a Super Bowl, is he a little more humanized now?
So Patrick Mahomes as a player, and I was kind of looking back at his stat line from last year's Super Bowl. He turns the ball over in Super Bowls. It's very much unlike his play during the regular season and throughout the rest of the playoffs. He had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles last year. He had 2 interceptions this year in the Super Bowl. But that's not to say that that dude isn't superhuman, right? Some of the plays that even he was making without an offensive line protecting him yesterday, running around for his life, a lot of what he was able to kind of accomplish in a positive sense was getting outside the pocket, picking up first downs with his legs, making ridiculous throws from arm angles to falling over, being parallel to the ground like Carson Wentz in 2018 against the Seahawks, just making ridiculous plays with his body. So I don't know that it necessarily, should be diminishing to him as how good he is. He's still the best quarterback in the National Football League, but it might be a blemish on the record for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are supposed to be a dynasty. Right now, we throw around the word dynasty, and I mean the royal we, not just you and I, but that's something that's kind of everywhere, right? It's so hard to make it to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, of course, went back to back in making the Super Bowl, but there's a window even for most dynasties. I know we saw it play out a little bit differently in New England for such a long time, but there's a window, right? If you don't capitalize on every opportunity within your window, that dynasty could quickly just become, what we've seen in the past with other teams. So I don't know, maybe necessarily if it's a bad thing against Patrick Mahomes, but maybe for the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole.
Yeah, too soon to necessarily forecast they'll fizzle out. But there is plenty of other young up-and-coming teams in the AFC to watch out for, in like Buffalo and Baltimore, for instance. Mahomes remains an otherworldly talent, a joy to watch. I do think he'll be back here sooner than later, likely against Tom Brady, given all we know about him. But it is kind of nice, selfishly, to see Patrick Mahomes, knock down a peg. I guess that's just a bitter Steelers fan. It's kind of nice to go, all right, you're not totally infallible.
If everybody can't have nice things, nobody gets nice things. God damn it. No. And there was one other thing that's a lot of fun that we need to talk about, just as us being us from the game. The Buccaneers did try for a big guy touchdown. We've mentioned it on here before. That is one of our favorite things to see within football. Unfortunately, Joe Haig could not haul it in. I believe they were in like a 6th lineman, set a hard play action and tried to throw it up to Joe Haig in the back of the end zone. Dude made a hell of an effort. But when you're asking a backup lineman or a lineman in general to go up and high point the football on a play, chances are that play needs to kind of work out a little bit better than that dude making a contested catch.
Yeah, no dice. Nice try. Shouts to Tom Brady and Bruce Arians for making the attempt. Of course, the classics always play. We'll always love a fat guy touchdown and the resulting spike. But maybe next year, Joe. Anyhow, we're not going to linger too long on the Super Bowl. It wasn't a great game, though it was one with quite a few takeaways. But we're going to move on to some other noteworthy football-related topics. I'll jump into one here, and then I'll let you have your say. I'm sure you have plenty for me. The Philadelphia Eagles are rumored to be looking to move on from Carson Wentz. The top contenders for Mr. Wentz that we know of, or are rumored at least, are the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts. Just for what it's worth, no official offer has been made, but some offers that are being circulated. The Bears are said to be offering former Eagles quarterback and, of course, Super Bowl champion Nick Foles their first round pick, which is 20th overall. And another offensive player, I've seen Tariq Cohen. He would certainly be an interesting addition to the Eagles backfield. But it's been an unnamed offensive player to this point. Cohen notably denied those rumors on Twitter. He said he spoke with higher ups who said he was safe, but that's one to watch. And then the Colts, no rumors as far as what they can offer, but they do have ample cap space. They can offer Jacoby Brissett if the Eagles are prioritizing veteran quarterback depth. And they have a similar first round pick. The Bears pick 20th. The Colts have 21st. So both teams could make enticing offers to Philly.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, this is, again, nothing is set in stone. These are all just trade rumors. I believe that it might happen sooner rather than later, especially now with the Super Bowl kind of being over. I was really, really hoping for it today. So we had something to break and something a little bit more substantial, a little bit more concrete to talk about here. But I remember back in December, I was sitting on a chair that looks like the one right behind you there, right to your left. And we had been talking about this same sort of thing with a couple other of our loyal listener friends as well. And I had mentioned that Carson Wentz is probably worth a first or second round pick. And I remember being scoffed at by my friends and thinking, I don't really think that I'm that wrong. I don't know, but I don't really think that I'm that wrong. Now, I'm not going to take too much of a victory lap, although it is my birthday and I should be able to, right? But I'm not going to take too much of a victory lap because nothing is set in stone yet. It's interesting to think about the blockbuster trade that just happened with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford and where the Eagles are with Carson Wentz. It's almost like they're treating him like he's the Matthew Stafford of that deal as opposed to the Jared Goff, which might be, a little bit different than the public's perception. I do think quarterbacks are very valuable. And I think that even though Carson Wentz was like statistically either the worst quarterback or runner up for the worst quarterback in the league this year, there are still some skill sets that can be developed. And if he goes to the right spot, maybe they can sort of bring that back out of him. With the Bears, I would love welcoming back Super Bowl MVP, Pro Bowl MVP, Nick Foles, the guy who has a statue outside of the link. I would welcome him back because the fact of the matter is the Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to be competitive for a few years. They're going to need one of those bridge quarterbacks that we talked about with Jared Goff might be in Detroit. They're going to need one. So if it's Nick Foles and that's just the kind of end, like how he ends his career, and it's just a fun, feel-good story as they win, 5 or 6 games for the next couple of years, then it's all worth something. The Tariq Cohen thing to me is interesting because the Eagles do have Boston Scott, and they are a similar type of player, being the short electric scat back kind of guy coming out of the backfield. And then, of course, the Colts were on everybody's radar. I felt like if they didn't get Matthew Stafford, that maybe Wentz might be a cheaper option as well for them, because I don't think that they're going to have to give up as much as the Rams gave up for Matthew Stafford. It is interesting, and these are kind of the rumors that are going around. I can't wait until it actually comes out so I can see if I was right, and then I could take my official victory lap, or if I just have to kind of wait here for a while.
Yeah, maybe it is a recency thing because Wentz was pretty lousy in 2020. His numbers the 3 years prior are pretty strong, including, of course, the 2017 season when he was obviously an MVP front runner before getting injured. So there's still potential for him. His career isn't over by any means. I could see where one of these teams who's desperate for a competent signal caller would move a first rounder for something that's maybe a little closer to a sure thing. I guess I can walk that one back a little, if only because it's your birthday. But we're not going to linger on Carson Wentz and the Eagles too long, because I'm sure we'll jump back into them in the doldrum, boring days of the offseason. We'll talk about a few more honors, I suppose, because that is the most noteworthy news to come from the weekend. The weekend.
The weekend did something over the weekend, didn't they? What'd you think about the halftime performance, buddy? I have seen a lot of folks that were very much upset. Apparently, jock straps are coming back into circulation, because that was trending on Twitter for a while. What'd you think about the weekend's halftime performance, man?
in the interest of full disclosure, I don't consider myself a fan of The Weeknd or really anything much beyond the spectrum of rap music most of the time. I'd say that's about 85% of what I listen to. Um, to sum up my thoughts on The Weeknd, again, not something I want to linger on too long. I liked it better when it was called Thriller.
Yes, absolutely. Because dude is very much Michael Jackson-esque. I mean, he came out and tried to essentially be Michael Jackson. I am a little bit more of a fan of The Weeknd. When I run, I like to listen to some more upbeat kind of fun music. And because of COVID, I have been, turned into a runner. I'm not proud of it. I'm not bragging about it. This isn't CrossFit. I'm just saying like that's what I like to listen to when I run. I didn't think it was that bad. However, like most Super Bowls, I don't care about the halftime show. I genuinely don't. I'm just counting the minutes until the game kind of starts back up. Even with how boring yesterday's game was, I was still just kind of counting the minutes until the game started back up. Since we circled back and we're going to come back to the NFL honors, there was a streaker at the Super Bowl yesterday. So I saw something interesting, and I don't know if there's any credibility to it, but I saw something on the internet that apparently that guy made a prop bet that there would be a streaker at the Super Bowl, and the payout was $375,000, and apparently his bail was $1,000. Again, I have no idea if this is true. If it is, that's funny. It's tough for me to think about in the world that we live in, where there's only 22,000 people allowed at the Super Bowl, where you're one of those people that is privileged to do so, and you run onto the field in a pink thong. It's just weird to me. I don't know. It's weird to me.
It's definitely a weird flex, but hey, if you get your money, girl, I guess. Anyhow, you mentioned running. I too took to running during COVID. You do on your running apps. A lot of us use running apps, Strava, Map My Run, what have you. You get virtual trophies. Accolades, that kind of give you motivation to keep going. There's no greater trophy, no greater accolade for an NFL player than being nominated to the Hall of Fame. That's where we were going before we got sidetracked, the NFL honors. So let's take a look here at some of the guys that were recently invited into the Pantheon, the newest class of the Hall of Fame, led, of course, by the great Peyton Manning. We don't need to go over his resume. The same could be said for Charles Woodson, the great defensive back for the Raiders and the Packers. Calvin Johnson, Detroit Lions wide receiver. Alan Faneca, shouts to number 66, Big Red, well-deserved. He waited 5 years. All-time great guard. Nice to see him get his due. Again, kudos to Alan Faneca. John Lynch, very good safety for a number of years. He waited a few years as well. Nice to see him get his. And then for some of these senior candidates, Drew Pearson, Dallas Cowboys wide receiver. Tom Flores, head coach for the Oakland Raiders for a while. And then Bill Nunn, scout for the Pittsburgh Steelers, notably kind of unearthed black colleges where a lot of great talents were found, where in that day and age, a lot of scouts foolishly weren't looking. So Bill Nunn, another one who a lot of Steelers fans pounded the table for. So it's good to see him get in as well.
Absolutely. Yep. And usually with the honors, and an excellent segue, by the way, excellent way to kind of get back into it and talk about the running and the champion, the trophies and coming back in. Very, very nicely done. Good scrimshaw. Good scrimshaw. Yep. No, just looking back at some of these names, like we all knew Peyton Manning was going to walk into the Hall of Fame when he was eligible, right? Charles Woodson and Calvin Johnson, maybe not as sure about as far as first ballot goes, right? But Peyton Manning was one of those dudes that we kind of knew. Alan Faneca was somebody who made offensive line play fun for me. I remember even him back in like NFL Street days, like him being the only offensive lineman that I recognize. Now, we mentioned we are fairly young, with it being my 28th birthday. Maybe we didn't get an opportunity to see guys like Drew Pearson, guys like Tom Flores, obviously not like Bill Nunn. That was way, way, way before our times. But yeah, congratulations to all of these guys. Really cool how they, instead of doing the knock on the door like they usually do, the knock on the door in the hotel to let guys know that they're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, a little bit cooler this time, had to be a little bit more creative with it. Saw some of those videos. Yeah. So, I mean, congratulations to everybody in the class of 2021 Hall of Fame. Now, you mentioned there might not be awards that are greater than the Hall of Fame. I could think of a couple that are, when we get into the first annual We Like Football Awards, might be a higher honor than the NFL Hall of Fame. But before we do that, let's talk about some regular season awards. The award show came out on Saturday night before the Super Bowl, as it tends to do. Start with the MVP. Aaron Rodgers came away with the MVP, one that we kind of all anticipated that he would. There was some Titans fans, and I know you shouted out Tyler Ferencik. What up, Tyler? Sorry it took us 10 weeks to get your name out there. He is our resident Titans fan. Maybe pounding the table a little bit for Derrick Henry, who also had a remarkable season for MVP. Anything against the Aaron Rodgers MVP? Were you kind of in agreement with it?
It is what it is. The MVP is now and will remain a quarterback award. Aaron Rodgers was statistically the best quarterback all year long. He got his team to the precipice of the Super Bowl before, of course, falling to Tom Brady. But the regular season MVP, I could not argue against Aaron Rodgers. Derrick Henry, a worthy candidate, and in a different era, likely would probably have a few MVP trophies on his mantle, but the running game, prolific backs simply aren't as championed as they were in a bygone era. Derrick Henry did win the next best thing, the Offensive Player of the Year award. Not a bad consolation for King Henry. Well-deserved, of course, with his 2,027 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns. Notably, the runner-up for that one is Josh Allen, a guy I know you have quite a big football crush on. Do you think he was maybe snubbed here, or do you think Henry was deserving?
Oh, yes to both. So Derrick Henry had over 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. He is the most valuable Tennessee Titan, and there's no question about it. I like that he got Offensive Player of the Year because in a lot of situations, like we know the MVP is a quarterback's award. So Josh Allen might have been deserving of it. Josh Allen was, if nothing else, at least the most improved player from last year to this year. But I thought that Derrick Henry deserved this one if he wasn't going to get MVP, which again, he does not throw the football. If he starts to throw the football a little bit more, if they throw it a Wildcat and that dude's dropping back, I am going to be tuned in. I'm not condoning this, but then maybe his MVPs will start to rack up. But until then, it's going to be a quarterback award. The next award, I feel like you're going to have a little bit of discrepancy with. So I'll just say Aaron Donald won Defensive Player of the Year with 49 tackles, 15 and a half sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. There couldn't possibly be anybody else that you would think should go in here, huh?
Hold there. Excuse me. 15 and a half sacks? No, he did not. I'll correct you. We're going to have to talk to the IT guy. Aaron Donald, 13 and a half sacks, paling in comparison to number 90 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the true Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt, 58 tackles, 15 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and interception. TJ Watt better to Aaron Donald in the following categories: tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, quarterback pressures, quarterback hits, pass deflections, interceptions. I know you just checked, and I know you just confirmed. Aaron Donald had 13 and a half sacks, 1.5 less than TJ Watt. Take nothing away from Aaron Donald. Tremendous, transcendent, generational talent. Aaron Donald's great, okay? But maybe this is a case where voter fatigue should have set in, because TJ Watt was just as good in 2020. It's criminal the season he put together with one less game than Aaron Donald. I neglected to mention that. He bettered him in every stat. An edge rusher is different than an interior rusher. They have more opportunities, but TJ Watt made the most of those opportunities. The statistics bear that out. He was robbed.
If I could defend our IT guy just a little bit before we have his head on a silver platter, I believe the mistake was made with including the playoffs, where Aaron Donald did have 2 sacks against the Seattle Seahawks in the divisional round. This is the regular season awards. We are not counting the postseason. So those 2 sacks that Aaron Donald did get against the Seattle Seahawks don't mean anything in this conversation. TJ, buddy, so sorry that you were robbed of what was rightfully yours. I think that Aaron Donald is still the best defensive player in the National Football League. So for me, I'm not as mad as you are, but I understand that you bring up some valid points with the stats being bested and things like that. With one less game, right? Maybe a little bit more deserving than Aaron Donald, but I will never say that to his face because that dude terrifies me. Offensive Rookie of the Year is one that I had a little bit of an issue with. And I heard somebody say it on NFL Network. I don't remember who it was, that there should have been a 1A and a 1B, or maybe like co-owners of this award. So Justin Herbert won Offensive Rookie of the Year, had over 4,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions as a rookie. Certainly a phenomenal rookie campaign. But let's not forget that Justin Jefferson, the receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, somebody who I certainly have a football crush on and am devastated that he doesn't wear midnight green on Sundays, had 1,400 yards. It's the most receptions for a rookie in the Super Bowl era. He broke a record by a dude by the name of, I don't know if you've heard of him, Randy Moss. He had 7 touchdowns. He had 88 receptions. If nothing else, they should be co-owners of the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. I don't know that Justin Jefferson necessarily got hosed or run out of the gym or what have you. And I understand that it is a quarterbacks league, and awards like this are kind of going to favor quarterbacks. And I get it. Justin Jefferson certainly had a phenomenal rookie season, and we should not gloss over it.
Absolutely not. No, you're absolutely right. Justin Jefferson, had he won this award, would have been well deserving. That's no consolation. But Herbert was likewise remarkable, set a number of rookie records. And again, it's a quarterback's award. It's a quarterback's league. So it was inevitable. To move on to another standout rookie on the other side of the ball, the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Chase Young. No surprise there. 44 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. His closest competitor was Jeremy Chin, very good safety for very good outside linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. 116 tackles, a sack, and a pick. Very good season, but Chase Young, I say this a lot. I say this word a lot, but it's true in many cases. Again, he was another transcendent talent coming out. He kind of lived up to that billing. So well-deserved for Chase Young. Another Washington football team guy to take home some hardware, Alex Smith. We all know his story. Very courageous, remarkable to come back from that devastating leg injury after having upwards of a dozen surgeries. Alex Smith came back, went 5-1 as a starter for the Washington football team, really helped lead them into the playoffs. He was not a consensus winner. Alex Smith received 49 out of the 50 votes. The other went to Ben Roethlisberger. You talked about this chair here. I believe that same day, maybe a little later on, maybe a little earlier. I don't recall the specifics, but I pounded the table for another guy who I thought deserved Comeback Player of the Year. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben threw for 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks, and led the Steelers to a 12-3 record in his 15 starts. Listen, with all due respect to Alex Smith, take nothing away from what he did. I mean that. Take nothing away from what Alex Smith did. His contributions on the field weren't all that great. He had 6 touchdowns and 8 picks. I know, but the injury. But is this award not for play on the field? There was no better player to come back from an injury and bounce back last season than Ben Roethlisberger. I know it's not a popular opinion. I know it's not the sentimental favorite, of course, given Big Ben's checkered past as well. I understand that. Maybe there is a bit of a homerism here. I can't deny that. But I do I have pounded the table for some other controversial opinions in the past. Another one I feel like kind of related or relatable, at least, is that I say Bo Jackson's overrated because he's often widely regarded as this great athlete, right? Bo Jackson never had a 1,000-yard season. He was never that impactful on the field. Like, I know he ran a fast 40, but what do the stats show? Alex Smith's stats don't show anything remarkable, and maybe I'm an old curmudgeon or a fuddy-duddy or stick in the mud. For me, statistics mean more. Statistical success means more, and I think Big Ben would have been a deserving winner, though I begrudgingly have to admit I understand very well why Alex Smith won it.
Yeah, let me just kind of throw something in here, and then I will certainly get off your lawn because I know that's something that you would yell out your door for sure. You asked, is this award for on the field play? The answer to that question is no. It's more about adversity. It's more about perseverance. The having your legs split in half and 17 surgeries just to walk again, then to come back out on the field. This one was super obvious. I love how emphatically you pound the table for Ben Roethlisberger. It's who you are. You stick to your guns, and that's something that I know a lot of people appreciate about you. This one was so super obvious with Alex Smith, man. It wasn't really close. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger did have the injury last year. He overcame a lot of things like his addiction to beer and to pornography, and I totally get it. Alex Smith had his leg split in half. He had 17 surgeries. He almost died. He came back. There's none more deserving than him. You got anything else on this one, or you want to jump to Coach of the Year?
Hey, shouts to beer and porn. That's my quarterback. Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year for the Cleveland Browns. Well deserved, taking them to 12-6 postseason included with their first playoff berth since the year 2002. An emphatic victory over my Pittsburgh Steelers. I would have pounded the table harder for Big Ben had their season not ended with such a wet fart, to be honest with you. Some other worthy candidates for that award came up short. Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills obviously led them to the AFC title game. Ron Rivera, another great sentimental story. He overcame cancer and took the Washington football team to the playoffs. Again, a couple other worthy guys, but Kevin Stefanski certainly can't argue that one.
And as we were kind of putting this list together, other names like Andy Reid and Bruce Arians, who were playing in the Super Bowl last night, were on the list, were at least mentioned. I know that earlier in the season, towards the end of the regular season, we had kind of thought that it might be Brian Flores, just with what he was able to do with the Miami Dolphins. They go from a year of like actively tanking for Tua, and then it wasn't tanking for Tua anymore, and then they end up getting Tua anyway. Tua a 10-6, fighting to get into the playoffs, coming down to kind of the wire in that regard. And of course, Ron Rivera beating cancer, winning the NFC East. Nothing to scoff at, but what Kevin Stefanski was able to do with the Browns, their accolades, kind of getting into the playoffs and winning a playoff game for the first time in forever. Yep. Certainly kudos to Kevin Stefanski, who had to coach a game in his basement this year as well. I should have thrown that in on the stat sheet here as well. And then the last award, there was a couple other kind of proppy awards and what have you, but the other one, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, Russell Wilson. He seems like an awesome guy. I mean, you're going to find this unbelievable, but I don't know Russell Wilson personally, even though we are the same caliber of celebrity now with us and the We Like Football podcast. Me and Russell Wilson are kind of at the same level there. I don't know him personally, but he seems like an awesome dude.
Oh yeah. Russell Wilson, by all accounts, well-deserved award. Can't, like you, I don't know him, but I can't say anything to the contrary. I'm going to go ahead and assume that he's every bit the upstanding guy he seems. So kudos to you, Russell. Well-deserved. We got some other awards on the docket. Is that correct?
We do. Yep. It is the first ever We Like Football Awards. Again, mention that this is up there with the Hall of Fame induction, right? You got to be pretty special to get some of these awards. We only have 2 of them so far. As we kind of grow and expand, these awards will grow and expand with us. But to start, we will have the football name of the year. Buddy, since you're so good at reading names that are fun to say, I'd like for you to give us the 3 candidates, and then we can kind of talk about them.
Of course, first is Tano Peseno. I'll say again, Tano Peseno.
Last name starts with a K, lest we forget. Talked about it last week. Pesenon starts with a K.
Next up, Ramondre Stevenson. A lot of fun to say. Ramondre Stevenson.
It's a powerful sounding name. It sounds like it's got a like Ramondre Stevenson.
Without knowing Ramondre, I don't want to mess with Ramondre. Another one sounds tough, but also a lot of fun to say. Sion Takitaki.
I love it. Sion Takitaki is so much fun to say, right? The Browns linebacker. Ramondre Stevenson is coming. Ramondre, I've done that before. Ramondre Stevenson is coming out of Oklahoma. He is a running back. And then Teno Pasenion played in the Super Bowl last night for the Kansas City Chiefs as an edge rusher. This one, I mean, the Taki is so much fun to say, right? Ramondre Stevenson is just there for the powerful name. You're calling Ramondre? Nah, dude, we're cool. We're cool. We don't have to escalate things, but we good. There is no name on this list that is more fun to say than Tano Pasenion. That starts with a K. Buddy, congratulations to you, Tano. We will send you out a sticker. You earned it. You deserve it. Congratulations to you. First ever We Like Football name of the year. Congratulations, Tano.
Yeah, Tano, Great name. One of those little reasons why we like football so much. Tano Peseñon, so much fun to say. Another name I love to say, old UFC fighter, Czech Congo.
Czech Congo.
He was a guy who, back in his day, back when I used to enjoy watching the UFC, I thought was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, love it. There was actually a UFC fight on this week, and I still enjoy watching a nasty knockout. Frankie Edgar got knocked out pretty good in the co-main event, and then Alistair Overeem lost to another Russian dude whose nickname is Drago. I thought that was pretty cool. And kind of staying on the UFC thing before we move on to our next award, I share a birthday with the backyard brawler, the dude that would come to just barbecues and beat the hell out of everybody, and then put it on YouTube and do it so much that he eventually got into the UFC, and then he died at like 40, I don't know, like early 40s. Kimbo Slice. Today is Kimbo Slice's birthday, and mine as well. Again, same caliber of star power, I would say, with us having this show. But happy birthday to you, Kimbo Slice. The next award, and the last award that we got on here before we get into some fun stuff, we would be remiss if we did not have an award that was called the Fun to Watch Award, right? Football is fun to watch for us. We picked out some specific players that were fun to watch, and then we're going to ultimately crown a victor. So to start, and I loved this dude, especially when the Ravens played the Buffalo Bills, just watching this guy get out in space. Pat Ricard, the fullback for the Baltimore Ravens, 6'3", 311 pounds. He's a fullback, like I mentioned, runs like a freaking deer, absolute monster of a guy. Don't want to get in his way. A lot of fun to watch.
Oh, tons of fun to watch. Pat Ricard, moving train, get on or get out of the way. He is a bulldozer. Somebody I wish was in black and yellow, to be frank.
Yeah, you could be Frank, I'll be Hayden, but I'd like to have him on my team as well. Another guy on this list that was fun to watch this year, AJ Brown. AJ Brown was a lot of fun to watch this year with Ryan Tannehill delivering him the football. So I don't even know where it came from. I told you, not a lot of brain cells left from yesterday. The next one. Oh, buddy. The next one we got on here is AJ Brown. We'll pull it together. I promise. We're professional. AJ Brown had 76 receptions, 11.
AJ Brown had 76 receptions, 1,158 yards, and 12 touchdowns. That's including the postseason. AJ Brown, another Tennessee Titan standout. Shouts to Tyler. AJ Brown, human highlight reel. Seemed like every time you watched him, he was high pointing the ball, plucking a ball out of the air. Just an absolute mammoth man running as fast as he does. AJ Brown, whole lot of fun to watch.
For sure. Thank you for taking it over. I totally lost it for a second there. I don't know. Another one who was fun to watch, and we mentioned him being maybe one of our favorites for Super Bowl MVP last night. Devin White just flew around the football field. Anywhere where the ball was, Devin White was close to it. He was flying around with some bad intentions. That dude went sideline to sideline in the blink of an eye. Had 166 tackles this year, 9 sacks, 1 interception. This is, of course, including the playoffs. Had an interception last night. And like I mentioned, 12 tackles in the Super Bowl. A lot of fun to watch, Devin, buddy. And then the last one on here, Davante Adams. It's amazing, like looking through all of the other awards that were given out for regular season awards, that Davante Adams maybe wasn't more in the conversation for like an offensive player of the year. He had 1,507 yards. He had 20 touchdowns, like 20 receiving touchdowns and 133 receptions. Certainly a lot of fun to watch for Davante Adams this season.
Yeah, absolutely. The both of them, Devin White, Davante Adams. My own respective winner for this award here, if we're allowed to differ, I'm going with Devin White. I mentioned before, he's one of my football crushes. You put this list together, but I can't dispute it any. All 4 worthy contenders, a lot of fun to watch. Devin White, for me, just jumps off the screen every time. His draft class, he was the top inside linebacker. Devin Bush was second. I pounded the table for a lot of Steelers here. For about the first 8 games of each of their rookie seasons, Devin Bush had superior statistics. So I tried to say, yeah, Devin Bush is better than Devin White. Not even close. Devin White is probably the best linebacker in the league at this point, if not very much in the discussion. So he's my winner, but I can't dispute you with Davante Adams whatsoever. Both well-deserving, both tons of fun to watch.
Yeah. I'm going to take Devontae Adams, but you're absolutely right. Devin White was amazing this year. Maybe like the offensive rookie of the year should be a co-owned award. Maybe this one, well, that one between the two Justins, this one between Devin and Devontae. Um, yeah, I thought Devontae Adams was awesome to watch this year. And again, nothing against Pat Ricard, who like was the ultimate fun to watch, right? Like, I mean, fullbacks aren't going to get a ton of stats or anything like that. So you really do have to watch them in order to appreciate what they're doing. And again, AJ Brown, nothing to scoff at, 12 touchdowns, over 1,100 yards. But yep, Devin White and Devontae Adams, they will be the co-winners of the first ever Fun to Watch award for We Like Football. Congratulations to you all. This is a very high honor. You should be humbled.
You're welcome. Now, in the spirit of fun, we'll jump into our ending segment here, one where we like to try and have a little bit of fun. Start one, sit one, cut one, kind of like marry, fuck, kill, if not quite as crude. So, excuse the vulgarity. I'm sorry. I know this is a children's program. Anyhow, I'll jump right in. Hayden, on your birthday, start one, sit one, cut one. Corny rappers only white people like. I got three of your favorites here, buddy. I know that. Tech Nine, Tekanina, Dax, or Logic. What do you got?
I appreciate you putting this one together. I felt like maybe Logic might not be in the same kind of conversation as the Nina and Dax, but for this, we'll keep it because it does make my argument a little bit easier. You could probably guess, like before, you didn't have to go past the first name to know who I was going to start. Tech Nine, the Nina, he is my favorite rapper of all time. He will be forever. I have seen him, I believe, 3 times in concert, once with you. That dude is phenomenal. Looking at his discography, because the dude was, of course, born in November 8th, 1971, y'all. The dude has been doing it forever, right? Has 22 studio albums, 3 compilation albums, 113 music videos, and 9 EPs. That dude has just been doing his thing forever. He is my favorite. There is no question. So Tech Nine was a very, very easy start for me here. Now, when I look and compare Dax and Logic, again, and you can go to their sort of discography. So Logic has 6 albums already, 1 soundtrack, 7 mixtapes, 40 singles. And then you go to Dax, who's sort of maybe a little bit newer. He has 2 EPs out right now and 15 plus singles. The numbers are a little bit iffy there. I love the songs that he rips off and does for himself. However, Logic is more complete, I would say, has done more already. So I would sit Logic and I would cut Dax. I think that Dax is a promising up and comer. But like, so for me to have Dax and Tech Nine on the same list, it's like comparing Justin Herbert to Tom Brady, right? Don't you might have an awesome career. It might be great. Lyrically, that dude is crazy, has awesome flow, very much a niche rapper, like you mentioned, the rappers that maybe only white people like. Certainly there's a niche for Dax, and I like his music, but I would certainly start Tech Nine and keep Logic before I kept Dax around.
I respect that, and I certainly can't argue your logic.
Ah.
Nonetheless, I might surprise you here. I'm cutting Logic. Bobby Tarantino, I'm a big fan. Keanu Reeves slaps every time. Wu-Tang forever. There's some Logic tracks I bump on repeat. But I'd say only a few per album. Again, Logic does have a pretty extensive discography at this point, as you mentioned, especially in comparison with Dax. So maybe I'm caught up in the flavor of the month, at least my flavor of the month, because I have been listening to a ton of Dax. And a lot of his music is on YouTube. He's not necessarily well known, but Dax's lyricism is incredible. And he puts out bangers. He puts out stuff I want to lift weights to. He puts out stuff that's a little more upbeat that I want to run to. He remixes songs and improves them. Dax, in a very short period of time, has ascended to among my favorite rappers. No small feat. So I'm cutting Logic. I'm sitting Dax. And of course, I'm gonna join you and start Tech Nine. Inimitable. Tech is the corny rapper white people like. You said everything that needs to be said about Tech. You and I both love Tech. I think he's criminally underrated. His discography is prolific. He's one of my favorite rappers of all time. He spits quick with it. We know that about the Nina. I love Tech. Long live Tech, straight forever. Anyway, I'll head to our next one here. Start one, sit one, cut one. I have 3-time MVPs. Now, let me note there's 6 of them. We're losing 3. 2 who were just before our time, and Jim Brown and Johnny Unitas. And another one, we're going to cut another 3-time MVP, the great Brett Favre, simply because we kind of really caught on near the end. When Brett Favre was in his prime, we were fresh out the womb, really. Not into football. We were into finger paints and picking our noses. So we missed much of Brett Favre's peak. So we're going to eliminate him from the process here. Go with a few more recent guys. Start one, sit one, cut one. 3-time MVPs. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. What do you got?
So I missed that. Are we not still picking our nose and finger painting? Is that a thing that we're not doing at 28 years old? We're just going to assume that kind of went out the window?
Off camera.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, no, sticking to the task at hand. 3 names that, I mean, undoubtedly will have busts in Canton at some juncture. Peyton Manning just walked in first ballot. Tom Brady, whenever he retires, is going to walk in first ballot as well. Aaron Rodgers will probably walk in first ballot as well. So I'll stick with kind of recency bias here. I've been pounding the table for Tom Brady, not that I need to, but I've said several times he's the greatest team sport athlete of all time, not just quarterback, not just football player. He is the best. He is going to be my start. I am going to, I'm going to sit Peyton Manning and cut Aaron Rodgers. But if something falls through with Peyton and he can't make it on my bench one week, I'm happy to bring Aaron Rodgers back up. This one's so tough because they're all so deserving. But again, I do think that there is a little bit of space between Tom Brady and the other 2 names, just from strictly a championship kind of mindset. The dude has 7 Super Bowl rings now. I don't know how you can not start Tom Brady. The other 2, it's a little bit trickier. I think Tom Brady is a clear start.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tom Brady, no-brainer start. His resume speaks for itself. The other 2 guys likewise have very strong resumes. I'm going to go opposite of you. My start is Aaron Rodgers and my cut is Peyton Manning. We talked about recency bias a few times. I think it's one of those things. Aaron Rodgers seems to kind of be like the more modern day Peyton Manning. Just like his raw stats in a lot of ways are better, like as far as touchdown interception ratio, passer rating. Aaron Rodgers moves much better in the pocket. Not to say Peyton Manning wasn't surgical, didn't have next level precision. He did, but I think Aaron Rodgers is kind of more so the total package. He has those similar gifts in terms of arm talent and can make plays with his legs in a way that Peyton Manning never really could. So just for preference, I'm going to start Tom Brady, of course. I'm going to sit Aaron Rodgers and cut Peyton Manning. But again, you can't go wrong either way. So if Aaron has a runny nose or something and Peyton wants to take the snaps, I'm okay with that. Now I'll get to our last one here. Start one, sit one, cut one. I got appetizers, 3 all-time greats, not unlike the quarterbacks I just mentioned. I got 3 great appetizers here. So I'm asking you, start one, sit one, cut one. Won't be easy. I got soft pretzels, cheese fries, mozzarella sticks.
No, it's certainly this is tougher, I think, than the previous question with Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers. So for me, it really, the pretzels comes down to, is there beer cheese with the pretzels? So I love beer cheese. Anybody who knows me knows I love beer cheese. I've thought at restaurants, specific restaurants, that I might order beer cheese as my beverage. I freaking love beer cheese, man. It is so good. Cheese fries you can never go wrong with. And of course, we had mozzarella sticks last week on the Hike It or Spike It with you just dominating punk ass onion rings, right? I'm cutting mozzarella sticks. Get the hell out of here, because I would prefer cheese fries. And if the pretzels with the beer cheese are an option, I'm getting them over the freaking mozzarella sticks, dude. Get out of here with them. The mozzarella sticks are used for when there's appetizers that you don't want. You know, the freaking Brussels sprouts that are covered in bacon, or the other stupid like couscous and nonsense like that. Nah, get these
Bruschetta sucks so bad.
Get the freaking mozzarella sticks out of here, buddy. I'm going to start the cheese fries because it's a favorite of mine. It always has been, always will be. I'm keeping the pretzels for the beer cheese. Get the hell out of here, mozzarella sticks.
You said everything I got to say. I don't need to piggyback off it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We like football.
From me and Frank, we like football. See ya.